watching CBS 8 Mornings at 6.
And we begin with a dense fog advisory now in effect. Take a look at the video here in Rancho Bernardo and further south of Mira Mesa. Also the same thing along that 15 corridor. Please be careful out there on the roads. Pretty thick stuff here to start off your Wednesday. It's 6 a.m. I'm Eric Connert.
And I'm Netta Irampour. Glad you're joining us. It was interesting. I didn't see any fog by the coast, but then once I got to Kearney Mesa, it like sat right on the road.
Yeah, thicker stuff out there right now.
Yeah, so it depends on where you are. Meteorologist Evan Irani keeping an eye on things. It shows that things have changed because we had stars yesterday morning.
Just like you said it would. It would change.
Yesterday, we started off the morning with offshore flow, so that warm, dry air coming from out over the deserts. That wind yesterday over the course of the day shifted back onshore, and now we see the very clear effects of that shift in wind direction. We have a little bit of drizzle possible out by the coast. Otherwise, though, it looks like today is going to be a mostly cloudy day. Should have some peaks of sun by the afternoon, but for now it's quite cloudy. Dense fog advisory is in effect until 9 a.m. today and extending all the way across our inland valleys, with satellite radar showing how dense it in fact is across the bulk of San Diego County. Coming up, we'll talk about that rain chance climbing as we get toward the end of the week. Vanessa Paz, she's checking in on how traffic is affected by that fog.
Hey, Evan. Yeah, I was walking Charlie last night and I could really feel that chill in the air as that cool, moist air kind of just started blanketing the county. All right. Unfortunately, it's also not only cooling us off, but reducing visibility in a pretty big way. 805 in both directions, right at the 163. This is what it looks like as you make your way northbound coming in from Murray Ridge this morning. As we switch gears, this is a live look on the 5 in both directions right at Oceanside Boulevard. Look out for a crash 805 south right at the 94 connector. That may slow things down as you make your way in from National City, headed up towards that 15 connector into the North Park neighborhood. Coming up a little later, we'll take a look at what your Wednesday travel times have in store. That's all ahead. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. And take a look right now, President Trump addressing the World Economic Forum. This happening live here in Davos, Switzerland. So you see him speaking at the podium right there. This is a live camera. We're keeping an eye on what he has to say listening in. During his trip, the president is expected to make his case for why the U.S. should have Greenland. The president has threatened new tariffs on European allies next month if they do not back his plans for Greenland. The trade concerns sent markets plunging yesterday, down 870 points on the Dow. President Trump will also push for his proposed Board of Peace. That's a key element in his Gaza peace plan. This morning, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced he will join that board. Turning to news here locally, later this morning, members of the Balboa Park Cultural Partnership are expected to come together and call on city leaders to reconsider paid parking.
Business owners and museums are really feeling the impact here, seeing a decline in visitors. CBS 8's Jenny Day, live Balboa Park. A decline in visitors means a decline in sales and revenue.
Yeah, we are expecting some specific numbers later this morning when that press conference gets underway. But we'll be sure to keep you posted. But yes, we are expecting more pushback on the paid parking policy today. Even on Free Museum Day, we are told it was pretty quiet around here at Balboa Park. We are used to seeing just parking lots full and lines in even some cases. But there does seem now there is somewhat of a boycott. So yes, the Balboa Park Cultural Partnership that represents 24 art, science, and cultural institutions here at the park, they are coming together calling for change. They're rolling out a new website today, savebalboapark.org, where they are asking supporters of this to speak out. Several museums and restaurants have said they are seeing a measurable drop in attendance in just the first couple of weeks since paid parking began. The Automotive Museum, for example, tells us their head count is down 38% from this same time last year. And even though parking is still free for volunteers, they have had some people quit. For years, parking here has been free. Now it's as high as $16 a day for some. There are discounts for locals and annual passes available, and other lots that are further away are around $5. And then those nearby meters are $2.50 an hour. Some of those meters, you may remember, though, were badly damaged in response to the new fees. Again, it really just all depends on where you park and whether or not you live here. No matter what you pay, though, there has been a lot of backlash at one of San Diego's most iconic destination. So I want you here. I want you to see and show them this support because it is amazing. They offer so much. So again, later this morning, Balboa Park Cultural Partnership will be holding that press conference, encouraging and demanding action for the city to reconsider this. We have reached out to the city and to get their response to these concerns. We'll certainly keep you posted. But in the past, they have said that they started this policy in order to address the budget deficit and that all of the revenue generated would go right back into the park. So keep it here. Lots more to come this morning.
Jenny, thanks for the updates there. Traffic impact alert here. Crews still repairing that sinkhole in Marina this morning.
Work was not completed yesterday as anticipated. So, of course, so many businesses around there impacted by this. CBS 8's Chris Crow live in Marina. Keeping an eye on everything and when they plan to reopen, Chris.
Yeah, again, it remains to be seen. It was supposed to be finished up today, but we've got that crew that is still working here. In fact, you can see in the early morning hours that they are out here right now. That section of Marina is only partially reopened at this time, and we do know that Sherman Street is closed. Again, as you said, this was something that was supposed to be reopened as of today, but work is still going on. The reason why, of course, this work is going on is because of that water main break that created that very large sinkhole that led to, obviously, the roads needing to be closed for the traffic. But when we were talking to some of the businesses out here, they were telling us that earlier in the repair effort that the biggest issue was not necessarily the fact that this section of Marina was shut down or that Sherman was shut down, but really the on and off closure of the water being turned off and on constantly. A lot of these businesses, as you might imagine, just like you do at home, need that water to be flowing. So the repairs were taking a little bit of time. Now they are expected again to be completed by tomorrow night, but this is something that we are going to continue to pay attention to. Drivers are encouraged to avoid this specific area, but of course we know that this section of Marina is a very busy area with all of the businesses that are here, storefronts and so forth. So we do know that people are still going to be in this area. If you're taking Marina, just remember to drive carefully around Cruz, and that if you have Sherman Street on your commute or your drive, that section is still going to be closed in this area for now. Back to you in studio.
All right, Chris, thank you. This morning, 2 people are under arrest accused in a double murder in Grant Hill. Police have identified the victims as Ruben Chavez and Evelyn Verheen. They were found shot on 27th Street after midnight Monday. Police say they arrested 25-year-old Princess Perez and her boyfriend, 21-year-old Rex Morales, after they tried to re-enter the U.S. in San Ysidro. Court records show Chavez and Perez previously had a relationship and were involved in a custody dispute over 2 children. Police say 3 children found in a car near the scene were not part of that custody dispute. Both suspects are expected in court tomorrow.
Today, the Trump administration begins an indefinite pause on immigrant visa processing for people from 75 different countries. Officials say the goal is to limit people who are more likely to become a strain on public resources from entering the country. This pause does not affect non-immigrant visas, such as student or tourist visas or asylum or humanitarian cases.
We have been talking a lot about the fog, and here's some video out of La Mesa as well, and El Cajon early this morning. Some thick stuff. Just be careful you don't want to miss your exit there. Make sure that you give yourself plenty of space, plenty of time as you head out the door here on this Wednesday.
And your car might be wet. I definitely noticed that.
Yeah, a little dew on there.
Yeah.
A little bit of mist.
Driveway was
even.
Right.
As we start off the day. Big difference from just 24 hours ago where we were still completely dry and clear outside. Now we've watched as clouds have filled the sky across the entirety of the county, especially from the western slopes of the mountains all the way to the coastline. Around the coast and inland, that cloud cover is very low down to the ground in the form of fog off toward the western slopes of the mountains. Of course, not quite as much of the fog, but it does seem like as we get toward midday, we'll just be under overcast skies. So that's going to be something to watch for. It's all setting us up for that chance of rain that will arrive toward the end of this week. So what we've seen is that this ridge of high pressure is getting pushed south. It opens up some space for a trough of low pressure to slide in. And as that low pressure system makes its way closer and closer to us, it changes our temperatures. It sees a drop in temperatures. It increases our cloud cover. And that all, cooler temperatures, cloudier skies, will have us set up perfectly for some of that rain to arrive by Friday. Single best day for rain is likely to be Friday, but you can see how both Thursday and Saturday have a decent opportunity for that rain. If you're trying to make weekend plans, it does seem like by Saturday afternoon, we'll be back to mostly dry skies that will carry us on into Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So here's that big picture. Trough of low pressure. There it is just off the coast. Starting to arrive in the form of wet weather beginning Thursday night. So this is about 7 p.m. or so on Thursday. Things intensify in San Diego by the time we get to Friday night. And then going into Saturday, you can see how just a few showers will linger through about 10 p.m. or so. And then we're back to dry skies Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Might have a few clouds rolling in around that time, but it also gives us an ample opportunity for a weak ridge of high pressure to build, giving us some slightly warmer temperatures. Vanessa Paz is standing by. She's checking in on traffic this morning.
Good morning. Time is 6:10. It's foggy out there, folks. This is what it looks like on the 805 in both directions, right at the 163. In fact, coming at your screen is that drive headed northbound. And actually, just in the top middle, you could actually see a car on the shoulder with its hazards on. So look out for that. That's not on the CAD, but that could be some sort of breakdown about to occur. All right, this is the 5, a little more north in the North County near Oceanside in both directions. Bottom left of your screen is that drive as you head southbound. Meanwhile, the right side, Oceanside, exiting towards Camp Pendleton. All right, we have reports of a crash on the 805 South right at the 94 split, and on the CAD, it actually shows that there is just a ton of debris scattered across the lane. So this could cause major issues for anyone traveling on the 805 South. Maybe you take the 805 to get onto the 94. Just make sure that you're taking it easy. All right, the marine layer has returned with a vengeance. It is providing some thick fog, reducing visibility for drivers. It looks like it's pretty bad along the 5 freeway from Carlsbad all the way down to La Jolla. Speeds still average 70, 75 miles per hour or so. As we pull up some of those travel times, we're still on the green about 10 to 15 to get you northbound in from San Isidro, as well as the 54 full span of the Coronado Bridge, about 5 minutes or so. 5 to 7 minutes for those drives headed west in from the East County. No major issues or delays there. And if you're traveling in from the North County, Escondido, as well as Encinitas, again, the major threat this morning is just going to be that fog. All right, 6:12 is the time. Let's go ahead and pull up those border wait times for you. We're averaging about an hour for both of the port of entries. That includes San Isidro as well as Otay Mesa at last check.